Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm taking you on a trip to my favourite theme park resort in the world. Yep, you've guessed it, it's the roller coaster capital of the world, Cedar Point in America, Sandusky, Ohio. See you there! As a brief background, Cedar Point is a 364-acre amusement park which sits on a peninsula at Lake Erie, Sandusky, Ohio. It opened as a public bathing beach way back in 1870, so the park has an amazing amount of history and their heritage really does shine through when you visit the resort. Over the years, the park has slowly built up, adding different rides, attractions and others disappearing along the way to become the ultimate holiday destination for roller coaster enthusiasts and families of all interests. And I really can't wait to visit in 2024. Okay, so let's start my ranking of all the roller coasters at Cedar Point. I'm not including Wilderness Run and Woodstock Express in this because they're children's rides and I haven't ridden them. Number 14 is Pipe Scream. Cedar Point have Pipe Scream labelled as a roller coaster, but is it really a roller coaster, guys? I'm not so sure. The ride was manufactured by Zamperla, is called a disco coaster or a disco for short, and it opened to the public in 2014. I've ridden a few of these now and nowhere else seems to label their discos as a roller coaster. Anyway, that aside, I'm really not keen on this ride at all. There's just too much spinning for me personally. So it takes last place, although I can imagine it's fun for the younger ones and always seems to be popular. Video credit to my husband who grabbed a video while I had a ride in 2017. At number 13 we have the Corkscrew. The Corkscrew is a steel roller coaster built by Arrow Development and opened to the public in 1976, which was a whole 47 years ago. The Corkscrew was the first roller coaster in the world to feature 3 inversions, which is typical of Cedar Point when it comes to world firsts. The ride reaches speeds of 48 miles per hour, and while there's no denying that the Corkscrew is a very photogenic roller coaster, unfortunately that's where it ends for me. I find it very rough and bumpy, so whenever I visit Cedar Point I have one ride on it for nostalgia purposes, but that's as far as it goes. I kind of feel quite bad putting the coaster up against more modern rides, so I think it's important to remember the Corkscrew for what it was at the time it opened. Revolutionary to the roller coaster industry as well as for Cedar Point. Number 12, Cedar Creek Mine Ride. Cedar Creek Mine Ride is a mine train roller coaster which was built by Arrow Development and opened in 1969. Yes, another golden oldie in amongst this list. It is the second oldest roller coaster that still operates at Cedar Point. Yep, I've not got to the oldest yet. I actually quite like this ride. I mean, it's old and rickety, but I can ride it without feeling like my brain is taking a beating and there are some fun elements to it. I do, on the whole, find it a little bit on the boring side, but it's very popular with the younger ones who are just starting out riding roller coasters. In at number 11 we have Iron Dragon. Iron Dragon is a suspended roller coaster built in 1987 by Aerodynamics. The coaster has 2 lift hills, with the tallest at 76 feet and reaches speeds of over 40 miles per hour. I actually forgot to add this roller coaster into my list. I do find this coaster a little bit boring, but again, it's old. I've not ridden it since 2018 and I do remember it being quite smooth, but it's not really a coaster that I like to get plenty of re-rides on. The first part of the ride is a little bit slow, with second part being a lot quicker with some fun, high-energy swings of the train toward the end. The best part about this ride is where it's located, over the Cedar Point Lagoon. I'm sure I'll enjoy the views of Top Thrill 2's Mammoth Spike from this ride in 2024. Number 10, Rougarou. Rougarou is a floorless roller coaster manufactured by B&M and opened to the public in 2015, although it was formerly known as Mantis and was actually built in 1996. Mantis was a stand-up roller coaster, and you know what, guys? I miss it. Vintage footage on the way. I remember riding it way back in 2006 and having a lot of fun with my sisters. I just found that by moving to a floorless coaster, it just takes away the ride's uniqueness. Now, I know it's probably a more popular ride now that the stand-up trains have gone, as they generally have a reputation for being uncomfortable, but I still miss it nonetheless. The coaster stands at a height of 137 feet and reaches speeds of 60 miles per hour. I don't mind the coaster in its current form, I just find the restraints uncomfortable for headbanging and I find the G-forces a bit too much at times. Along with others on this list, I tend to ride it for riding's sake and then leave it for the rest of my trip. In at number 9 we have Raptor. This one seems to be a favourite among many enthusiasts, but when I rode it in 2006 I was a bit underwhelmed by it. Nemesis at Alton Towers in the UK will always take the top spot in my heart for B&M inverts. Raptor is a steel inverted roller coaster at the front of the park designed by B&M and opened to the public in 1994. The roller coaster features a 100-foot vertical loop, 2 inverted corkscrews, a zero gravity roll and the world's first ever cobra roll. The coaster reaches speeds of 57 miles per hour and I mean, it's fine, it's a solid coaster, I'm just not that keen on B&M roller coasters in general. I find them a bit too intense and Raptor is no exception for me. At number 8 we have Gatekeeper. Gatekeeper is a winged steel roller coaster manufactured by B&M and opened to the public in 2013. Gatekeeper was the 5th wing coaster to be installed in the world, standing at 170 feet tall and reaching speeds of 67 miles per hour as well as featuring 6 inversions. Cedar Point states on their website that the 180-degree rotation into a half loop at the beginning of the ride breaks the record for the highest inversion on any roller coaster at 170 feet. I really do like this roller coaster and in my opinion creates less G-forces than many other B&M roller coasters out there. It's clearly not my favourite, but I can re-ride this coaster without it making me feel a bit wobbly. The airtime hill and the inversion over the Cedar Point entrance are my favourite parts of the ride. Number 7. Gemini. Gemini is a dual hybrid roller coaster, i.e. wooden structure with steel track and was built in 1978. This coaster is 125 feet tall and reaches speeds of 60 miles per hour. It doesn't look like much of a coaster, but it's a lot of fun and feels really fast with plenty of airtime for such an old coaster. I remember riding this in 2006 and was hit in the face by someone's cap at approximately 60 miles an hour. It felt like a brick had hit me and I blacked out for a second or two. Remember guys, the park has a strict loose articles policy for a reason. Secure them in a zip pocket or put them in a locker. At number 6, it's Valraven. Valraven is a steel roller coaster built by B&M and opened to the public in 2016. Valraven was the first dive coaster to be built within the Cedar Fair chain and was the tallest, fastest and longest of its kind when it opened. For those that don't know, Oblivion, located in the UK at Alton Towers, was the first prototype of the dive coaster. Valraven stands at 223 feet tall and reaches speeds of 75 miles an hour. This roller coaster is actually my husband's favourite coaster at Cedar Point and we rode it quite a lot in 2018. While it's not my favourite, I still really enjoy this one. I don't know why I find it less intimidating than Oblivion, but I'm putting it down to the fact you don't dive into a big black hole. Number 5. Blue Streak. I absolutely love this roller coaster. You just cannot beat the golden oldies. Blue Streak is a wooden roller coaster, an out and back design built by Philadelphia Toboggan Company in 1964. Yep, this coaster is 59 years old and is the oldest roller coaster at the park. This coaster might be small at 78 feet, but my word, it makes the most of its 40 miles per hour speed over those airtime hills. I remember having so much fun in the back cart with my sisters over those airtime hills in 2006, and 2017-18 wasn't much different. Such a good coaster, and it's really nice to see Cedar Point taking good care of their classics. As Cedar Point say, Blue Streak is packed with hills, thrills and history. Definitely a one not to be missed when you visit Cedar Point. At number 4 we have Magnum XL200. Magnum XL200 was built by Aerodynamics in 1989 and was dubbed the world's first hypercoaster at a height of 205 feet. Fun fact, The big one at Blackpool Pleasure Beach in the UK was actually inspired by Magnum XL200 and took the world's tallest record a few years later. What can I say other than I absolutely adore this coaster, all 5,106 feet of it. It's fun, it's rough, it's old, and it's absolutely packed with airtime on those airtime hills in the second half of the ride. Can you tell? A lot of enthusiasts criticise this ride and pull it apart technically, which really does make me yawn. It's an old coaster, it's allowed to not be as good as the likes of Maverick, Millennium Force and Steel Vengeance. It's a good, solid, fun coaster which needs to be celebrated for the, yep, I'm gonna use that word, iconic coaster that it is. I'll ride this all day long in the back cart of the train if I can get there, and I have such fond memories of riding this with my sisters and my husband back in 2006 and 17-18. Okay, so now I'm getting down to my top 3 where we go back in time to the year 2000. Millennium Force takes my 3rd spot. Millennium Force is a steel roller coaster manufactured by Intamin, which is the first Intamin coaster to appear on this list. It opened in the year 2000 as the world's tallest giga coaster at a height of 310 feet and the fastest roller coaster reaching speeds of 93 miles per hour. This is another roller coaster that I see get the underrated tag by enthusiasts, and again I roll my eyes. This roller coaster is tall, it's fast and it's long. Sometimes a coaster doesn't need to be packed with aggressive airtime hills to make it a great one. Millennium Force was a marvel of its time, and it still takes your breath away just looking at it as you're driving past it to get to Hotel Breakers. It sits in my mind like a flashbulb memory. I love this coaster a lot and it's very re-rideable, which is always a bonus. I do grey out at the bottom of the first drop, which is my least favourite part of the ride, mainly because the grey outs stop me from enjoying the speed of that overbank turn. I absolutely love the floaty airtime hills. The tallest one is my favourite part of the ride and I love whizzing through those tunnels. Just like Magnum XL200, it's a solid coaster that needs to be appreciated for the mega structure that it is. It is also still silky smooth, despite being more than 20 years old. There's just 2 roller coasters left. Where do you think Maverick and Steel Vengeance sit? At number 2 we have Maverick. For those that guessed correctly, Maverick takes 2nd place, only just. I regularly can't make my mind up between Vengeance and Maverick because they're both fantastic roller coasters. Maverick is a steel roller coaster manufactured by Intamin and designed by German engineer Vernal Stengel and opened in 2007. I hope I pronounced that right. Fun fact, the opening of the ride was delayed due to the removal of the Heartline roll element. It apparently put excess stress on the trains as well as the potential to cause discomfort to passengers regarding the high G-forces. I remember being at Cedar Point in 2006 when it was being built and have some vintage footage to share with you all of the construction. The footage made me giggle a bit. My vlogging abilities have got a bit better since then.
I think it's definitely... But look, where you though, because it dips down there, look, and then comes back up. New roller coaster. Supposed to be called Maverick. Doesn't look very good, but we'll just have to wait and see.
It's quite funny to think that I said those words in 2006 only for Maverick to sit firmly in 1st place in 2017 to be moved to 2nd place after riding Steel Vengeance in 2018. Maverick launches you via LSMs up the first 105-foot hill before plummeting down a 95-degree drop. You hit airtime hills at speed as well as a twisted horseshoe roll and corkscrews before a 2nd launch which takes you to 70 miles per hour. It's an absolutely fabulous ride and another one I could ride all day every day for the rest of my life. It really is no surprise to me that it was awarded the Golden Ticket Award for Best New Ride in 2007. It well and truly deserved it. Well, here it is, my current number one roller coaster at Cedar Point, and to be honest, my number one coaster in general. It has to be Steel Vengeance. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and make sure to hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you're notified of new videos in the future. After riding Maverick in 2017, I never expected it to be knocked off my top spot so quick. Enter Steel Vengeance. There is only one word to describe this coaster, and that is epic. I remember riding it for the first time, laughing all the way through it, to turn to my husband as we're heading back into the station saying, "What have we just ridden?" to run back around to the entrance and do it all over again. Steel Vengeance is a hyper-hybrid roller coaster, replacing Main Streak and built by Rocky Mountain Construction. Vengeance opened in 2018 and I was there in its third week of operation. I can still remember waiting at one of the entrance gates beside hotel breakers waiting for the park to open, only to start running with the rest of the crowd to get the first morning rides on Vengeance before the crowds picked up. The atmosphere was electric and I only wish I had footage to share with you all of the memories. Vengeance stands at 205 feet tall, reaches speeds of 74 miles per hour and has an insane amount of airtime, something I absolutely love about this coaster. The weird thing about Vengeance is that you are whipped around, but it doesn't make you dizzy or weary from any of the G-forces. It's fast, it's nippy, it's fun, and it's 100% re-rideable. I couldn't get enough of this coaster in 2018 and I was so gutted when it was time to leave. Despite Main Streak having a poor reputation toward the end of its operational life, I feel very lucky that I got to ride it. While the ride was extremely rough to the point I nicknamed it a bone shaker, I have a very fond memory of an American couple who were so warm and kind to my sisters and I when we met them in the Main Streak queue. They told us that Main Streak was their favourite coaster in the park. I really hope they have that same affinity to Vengeance, and it's a shame we didn't get to keep in touch. I can safely say that Steel Vengeance is definitely an improvement to Main Streak. Usually my sisters and I head to the back cart of any train, but Main Streak was strictly in the middle. You might have noticed that there are two roller coasters that I've missed out. Stay tuned toward the end of an honourable mention of a roller coaster I'm going to deeply miss. I've not been to Cedar Point since 2018, so I've not actually ridden their new roller coaster, the Wild Mouse. Wild Mouse is a spinning coaster with a twist, manufactured by Zamperla and opened in 2023. I really love the cat and mouse theming concept, with the cat at the top of the lift hill and the mice chasing the cheese car. I can't wait to see the new area of the park, complete with their new Grand Pavilion in 2024. The ride may be 52 feet and only reach speeds of 35 miles per hour, but similar to Spinball Whizzer at Alton Towers, you sometimes don't need to be the tallest and fastest to still be a lot of fun. I also need to give a brief mention about Top Thrill 2. Top Thrill Dragster used to accommodate third place on my list, but this was changed when the park announced that Dragster would be closed as we knew it and reimagined. When I read the news, to be gutted was an understatement, but when it was announced by the park that the top hat was staying with an addition of a spike tower, I was relieved. The ride was renamed Top Thrill 2, is currently being built by Zamperla and is due to open in 2024. Construction has been completed and the ride itself has been testing with success. The ride utilises linear synchronous motors instead of a hydraulic launch, which sends riders forward at 74 miles per hour, partially up the top hat before rolling back and launching to 101 miles per hour backwards up the 420-foot spike, before launching forward again to 120 miles per hour up and over the 420-foot top hat. I don't want to jinx it by saying I'm heading there in 2024, but I'm honestly beyond excited for this ride and I'm rooting for Zamperla that this is going to be the success that they want it to be. Where do you think Top Thrill 2 will sit on my list, guys? Let me know if you'd like me to do an updated ranking list in 2024. Now, I want to give an honourable mention to a roller coaster I'm going to sorely miss at Cedar Point, as this was my 4th favourite roller coaster in 2018. A lot of you will know which roller coaster I'm talking about. Yes, it's Wicked Twister. This roller coaster was removed in 2021 and the Grand Pavilion now takes its place along with the Wild Mouse. Wicked Twister was an impulse coaster manufactured by Intamin and stood at a height of 215 feet with 2 twisted spikes on either end of the station. The train was launched back and forth, twisting up the towers to a speed of 72 miles per hour. Honestly, the ride looked pretty basic, but the forces and launch on that coaster is something I'll just never ever forget. I didn't get much footage during 2017 and 18 as I took a lot of photographs instead. But luckily my husband took this video where I'm sat on the very back row in true Rachel style. Watch how the launch pushes me back, it was brilliant. Enjoy listening to the squeaks of that launch, I'll never tire of hearing it. Picture of me as we launch, I think my face says it all. The girl beside me had been working at Cedar Point that season and I'll always remember our conversation, she was so lovely. Enjoy this vintage footage of Cedar Point from the observation tower in 2006 that's no longer there. I can't believe how much time flies. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Please check out my other vlogs on the channel if you enjoyed this video, and last but not least, all of the POVs belong to Cedar Point, so if you want to watch them in full length, head over to their YouTube channel. Bye for now.
Musical entertainment, 4 theaters, and the Shady Frontier Trail. Soak City and Challenge Park are located just outside the